We want to find a bipartisan path to reopening the House of Representatives so we can solve problems for the American people and stand with our friends like Israel and Ukraine and others throughout the free world. But the House Republican civil war continues to rage on.
Joining me now is the House Democratic leader, Congressman Hakeem Jeffries of New York. Leader Jeffries, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Good morning.
Well, let's start right there. We heard you talking about a bipartisan solution to resolving this stalemate in the House. Are you actually having conversations behind the scenes with your Republican counterparts about trying to create a bipartisan solution, a governing coalition?
There are informal conversations that have been underway. When we get back to Washington tomorrow, it's important to begin to formalize those discussions. From the very beginning of this Congress, House Democrats have made clear that we want to continue to put people over politics and to fight for things like lower costs, better paying jobs, safer communities, and to build an economy that works from the middle out and the bottom up. On the other hand, House Republicans have been focused on fighting each other. It's time to end the Republican civil war so we can get back to doing the business of the American people. And we, as House Democrats, are committed to finding that bipartisan path forward in a meaningful way.
Leader Jeffries, this has been going on for 11 days. Why haven't formal conversations started yet?
At this point, that is on my House Republican colleagues. We have made clear publicly and privately that we are ready, willing, and able to enter into a bipartisan governing coalition that puts the American people first and solves problems for hardworking American taxpayers. My Republican colleagues have a simple choice. They can either double or triple down on the chaos, dysfunction, and extremism, or let's have a real conversation about changing the rules of the House so it can work in the best interest of the American.
What are your demands, Leader Jeffries? You talk about changing the rules in the House. Can you tick through a couple of your demands that you're going to ask for?
Well, these aren't demands. We are ready to be reasonable in trying to find the common ground necessary.
What are they? What is it that you want?
We want to ensure that votes are taken on bills that have substantial Democratic support and substantial Republican support so that the extremists aren't able to dictate the agenda. The current rules of the House have facilitated a handful of Republicans being able to determine what gets voted on in the House of Representatives, and that undermines the interests of the American people. We can change the rules to facilitate bipartisanship, and that should be the starting point of our conversation.
And Leader Jeffries, I hear you saying that this is a Republican issue, and of course the discord is there. But as the Democratic leader of the House, don't you also bear a responsibility to try to bring this stalemate to an end?
We want to reopen the House and get to a place where we can tackle the challenges that are in front of us domestically, as well as make sure that we can stand with our close friend Israel during her time of need in terms of ensuring Israel's ability to decisively defeat Hamas, a brutal terrorist organization. We need to be able to stand with the Ukrainian people in its effort to defeat Vladimir Putin and Russian aggression. We need to be able to make sure that we can keep the government open to meet the needs of the American people. And so we are ready, willing, and able to have those conversations.
You'd effectively need about 5 Democrats to get on board and support a Republican speaker to have a governing coalition. Have you identified a candidate who you could potentially get behind, and would you allow your members to vote for a Republican speaker?
We have not identified any candidate on the other side of the aisle because our focus is not on the individual. It's on the institution of Congress and the best interests of the American people, which is why what we've suggested is that we reevaluate the rules that are currently in place to facilitate bipartisan cooperation and to eliminate division.
And Leader Jeffries, how worried should people be about a potential government shutdown? It's now less than 40 days away.
We entered into an agreement to avoid a catastrophic default on our debt in May, led by President Biden, who's doing a tremendous job. More than 300 members of Congress supported that agreement, which included top-line spending numbers so that we would avert a government shutdown and could lean in to providing for the health, the safety, and the economic well-being of the American people.
Leader Jeffries, would you intervene? What I'm asking, though, is would you intervene to prevent a shutdown? Because, as you know, military members are not going to get paid. If the government shuts down, is that the point where Democrats will intervene?
House Democrats have already intervened to prevent a government shutdown. House Democrats provided a majority of the votes on September 30th to avoid a government shutdown. We are not the party of government shutdowns. We are the party that puts people over politics. And so, of course, we are prepared to enter into an agreement that keeps the government functioning and that meets the needs of the American people. What I'm saying is that we entered into an agreement already that is a matter of law. And the problem is House Republicans breached that agreement less than a week after it was entered into at the end of May. If we get back to that agreement, we have a clear path forward to make sure that the government stays open.
All right. Leader Jeffries, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. We will stay tuned. Appreciate your joining us.
Thank you.